Please be seated. We will start the program now. Maupo na po tayo. A pleasant Wednesday morning to everyone. Isang maganda at malayong umaga po sa ating lahat. Mabuhay and welcome to the National Decongestion Summit, a conference to unlock solutions to jail and prison overcrowding. As the overarching theme of this summit states, we will aim to decongest and reintegrate. As to how, this will be discussed today and tomorrow by our team of local and international experts. My name is Laura Cruz Herrera del Rosario. I am your moderator this morning. As we gather this morning to open this two-day summit, our national leaders, our partners from the diplomatic corps, and the international agencies who have been working with the justice sector are joining us. Indeed, everyone's presence highlights the significance of this event, which is projected to be a collaborative and insightful conference. Once again, welcome fellow workers and colleagues in the justice sector, development partners, and officials and partners from the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government, the integrated bar and civil society organizations. May we now request everyone to please rise for the Philippine National Anthem and Doxology to be led by the Supreme Court Choir.
Magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa likid mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bughaw, may dilatang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng buwan, hatid pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Strumento della vostra pace.
Lord, make me an instrument of your peace.
Dove c'è odio, lasciarlo seminare l'amore.
Where there is hatred, let me sow love.
Dove c'è verità, perdono. Dove c'è dubbio, fede. Dove c'è disperazione, sperare. Dove piena ne resta, illuminarsi. Dove piena tristezza,
Please be seated. And thank you very much to the Supreme Court Choir. To formally open the program, we will now hear from two of the three justice sector agencies that compose the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, or the JSCC. Let us begin with the Department of Justice. Our speaker is a DOJ representative to the JSCC Core Secretariat. Representing the Secretary of Justice, the Honorable Jesus Crispin C. Remulla, please welcome DOJ Undersecretary, the Honorable Raul T. Vasquez.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., President of the Republic of the Philippines, the Honorable Executive Secretary Lucas P. Bersamin, Senate President Juan Miguel F. Subiri, Speaker of the House of Representatives Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, my co-principals in the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, the Honorable Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo, and DILG Secretary Benhur Abalus, represented by Undersecretary Juan Victor Llamas, Her Excellency HKU, PSM, Ambassador of Australia to the Philippines, His Excellency Luc Beron, Ambassador and Head of the European Union Delegation to the Philippines, esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps, Mr. Daniel Marchesi, Country Manager, United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime Program, the Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court of the Philippines, the Court of Appeals, the Sandigan Bayan, trial court judges, and other members of the judiciary. My indulgence, because we wanted to emphasize the importance of your presence here. I'll go down the line. This is kind of a long list. Distinguished officials of the Department of Justice and the Department of Interior and Local Government, and from the various Philippine government agencies, subject matter experts from various parts of the globe who flew in to the Philippines for this summit, presenters, panelists, and reactors, the Governance in Justice team led by Mr. Christian Eldon, other development partners, our partners from the civil society and other non-governmental organizations. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, a very pleasant morning to all of you. As mentioned, that was quite a long list, but I purposely read it to nonetheless emphasize the fact that we are here on a very significant and momentous purpose, which is the first ever National Decongestion Summit. The three branches of the Philippine government are all represented: the international community, the private sector, local and international organizations, as well as local and international experts. Gatherings like this, ladies and gentlemen, do not happen that often. And your being here today manifests a readiness and willingness to contribute in addressing the challenges posed by severe overcrowding in our jail system and other prison facilities, including its severe offshoots. The gravity and urgency of these challenges need not be stressed. We all know that. It's judicial notice, as they are wont to say, the judges and the justices. And the utmost importance of our collective efforts to face them cannot be overstated. Overcrowded corrections and detention facilities compromise the very essence of the corrections and reformatory system, pose economic systemic challenges that ripple across our criminal justice system and unduly transgress our persons deprived of liberties, basic human rights. And this is very important because in a few days, ladies and gentlemen, we will be celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, of which the Philippines is one of the pioneer signatories through our venerable, the late Carlos P. Romulo. Today, however, we have such a unique opportunity, the opportunity to pioneer innovative approaches to decongest our jails and prisons, possibly review the integration process and reformatory system, and improve and develop our existing justice system in ways that are not only efficient, but also compassionate. And this is important because the Philippines is such an inclusive and compassionate society as envisioned by our President Bongbong Marcos. This conference, ladies and gentlemen, exemplifies our commitment to transformative change. It will serve as a convergence point for policymakers, corrections practitioners, justice sector professionals, academics, and civil society representatives. While it is true that DOJ, through our corrections cluster, bears the arduous task of balancing the interest of peace and order with reformation and correction and eventual reintegration of PDLs into society, the reality, ladies and gentlemen, it is that our justice system remains to be a network of interconnected pillars. I need not stress the 5 pillars of our criminal justice system at this point. While the reforms that we have introduced in our correction system have borne some fruits, we recognize that a lot has yet to be done, not just by the DOJ, but the entire justice system. Thus, this conference will be the venue to make the most of the synergy amongst the pillars of justice, acknowledging their interdependence while facilitating a holistic approach towards reform. Over the next 2 days, ladies and gentlemen, you will be engaging in purposeful discussions, sharing of experiences, and formulation of actionable policy recommendations. You will not merely identify the challenges, but more importantly, you will propose pragmatic solutions, realistic approaches that may swiftly address the challenges ahead of us. I am confident that the collective efforts and outputs of the summit will have profound impact on the lives of those that we serve as crucial actors in our country's criminal justice system. Thus, I express my humble gratitude to everyone, all of you who took time and effort to be here today, for your commitment to this critical and important endeavor. May we forge a clear path towards jail and prison reform that our fellow men and all persons who come in contact with our criminal justice system rightfully and truly deserve. Muli, mga kaibigan, maraming salamat po at mabuhay tayong lahat. Good morning.
Maraming salamat po at mabuhay Yusek Vasquez. We will now hear from the Department of the Interior and Local Government. He is the DILG's Undersecretary for External, Legal, and Legislative Affairs. Also a member of the JSCC's Technical Working Group on Legislative Agenda and Policies. Please welcome the Honorable Juan Victor R. Llamas.
To Honorable Alexander Gusmundo, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of the Philippines, to Honorable Jesus Crispin Remulla, Secretary, Department of Justice, ably represented here by Undersecretary Raul Vasquez, to Honorable retired Chief Justice Lucas Bersamin, Executive Secretary, to Honorable Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, Speaker of the House of Representatives, esteemed participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. On behalf of DILG Secretary Benhur Abalos, I am extending my profound gratitude to the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, or JSCC, and our esteemed co-principals, the Supreme Court and the Department of Justice, in orchestrating this crucial gathering. My deepest appreciation also to the European Union, to the Government of Australia, to our private institution partners, the Governance in Justice, or GoJust, and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, or the UNODC. Your utmost support has made this summit into a reality. This summit on jail decongestion and reintegration of persons deprived of liberty into mainstream society as a productive citizen is in line with the Philippine Development Plan 2023-2028 to enable an environment supportive of transforming the economic and social sectors and institutions for a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient society. And that is specifically to ensure peace and security and enhancing administration of justice. Part of the strategy framework of enhancing the administration of justice is to improve the plight of persons deprived of liberty. In this two-day summit, we will be joined by our esteemed members of the judiciary, prosecutors from the Department of Justice, administrators from the Bureau of Corrections and the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, as well as persons from the academe, lawyers, and private individuals deeply involved in jail decongestion initiatives and social reintegration of PDLs. To present to us the present state of Philippine jails and the various reasons that contribute to that decongestion, and to discuss and find ways, recommendations, and possible solutions on how to resolve the lingering problem of jail overcrowding. Jail overcrowding leads to deplorable conditions for persons deprived of liberty, compromising their health and well-being, and hindering their seamless reintegration into society. With the support of the legislative branch of our government, through our good Speaker of the House of Representatives and our good Senate President, we are confident that the much-needed reforms will be legislated and that adequate funds to support these reforms be given. As one of the principals of JSCC, the DILG remains steadfast in supporting initiatives to address jail overcrowding, contributing to the enhancement of our criminal justice system. In our pursuit of Bagong Pilipinas, let us ensure that no one is left behind or marginalized in peace and development. Marami pong salamat sa inyong lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Undersecretary Llamas. Now, our development partners and several international agencies which have partnered with the justice sector on undertakings intended to improve and strengthen justice services in the country have supported this summit. We will hear from them this morning, beginning with the country manager of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, or the UNODC Program Office in the Philippines. May we call on Mr. Daniele Marquesi.
His Excellency Mr. Lucas Bersamin, Executive Secretary of the Republic of the Philippines. His Excellency Mr. Juan Miguel Zubiri, President of the Senate. Honorable Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, Speaker of the House of the Representatives. Honorable Alexander Gesmundo, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Honorable Undersecretary of Justice Raul Vasquez, Undersecretary of Interior and Local Government, Her Excellency the Ambassador of Australia to the Philippines, His Excellency the Ambassador and Head of the European Union Delegation to the Philippines. Excellencies, partners, friends, magandang umaga. It is my privilege to speak here on behalf of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, on this historic occasion, the first National Decongestion Summit in the Philippines. First of all, allow me to welcome the commitment of the government of the Philippines to prison reform and to reducing congestion in the country's correctional system. The attendance of distinguished high-level authorities today serves as evidence of that commitment. In our experience globally, the only way to address prison reform is through a whole-of-government approach involving all stakeholders affected. UNODC is extremely proud to have collaborated with the Justice Sector Coordinating Council in organizing this forum and to support broader justice sector reform efforts together with our partners and donors, in line with the Philippines Development Plan and with our recently signed United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. As we all know, the Philippines grapples with severe prison and jail congestion. One illustrative statistic is the percentage of persons under pretrial detention, which stands out as one of the highest in the world, at around 70%. This affects thousands of individuals presumed innocent, but who often stay behind bars several years. These individuals are deprived of liberty, but also endure severe conditions, often lacking space to sleep, ventilation, and healthcare. Deaths in custody are 2.5 times higher than the death rates in the general population. Women are particularly affected. Over 13,000 women in pretrial detention face disproportionate challenges due to overcrowding in predominantly male facilities. The shortage of female-exclusive facilities complicates the provision of crucial gender-specific social services and health care, mandated by the United Nations Bangkok rules. Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "No one truly knows a nation until one has seen inside its jails. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones," end of quote. UNODC is the custodian of the International Standard Minimum Rules for the treatment of prisoners, known as the Nelson Mandela Rules. I'm especially pleased that these rules have been published in Tagalog and have been widely distributed in places of incarcerations in the Philippines. Across the world, we work on supporting member states in making these standards and norms a reality, adapting them to the local circumstances and means, while also promoting prevention, non-custodial measures, and reintegration. Here in the Philippines, UNODC contributes by promoting data and evidence-based policies, building capacities of correction and jail personnel, facilitating the exchange of best practices and South-South cooperation, improving correctional management, and supporting policy innovation. For example, we have supported initiatives like the Read Your Way Out project to decongest jails through reading. We have developed better assessment tools for persons deprived of liberty. We have assisted the development of a policy for health of mothers deprived of liberty. Importantly, UNODC supports decongestion policies by promoting alternatives to incarceration, particularly through a health-oriented approach to drugs. In the last few years, over 60% of all indictments by Philippine prosecutors have been on drug cases, often minor ones. Over-focusing on these offenses diverts vital resources from addressing serious crimes such as murder, child sexual exploitation, transnational organized crime, terrorism, and corruption. This impacts the justice system as a whole. Courts get overwhelmed, detention facilities become overfilled, and public safety and trust is put at risk. Everywhere in the world, drug policy reform is a key factor to decongestion the prison system. I look forward to these summit sessions, and I hope that the discussion in the next 2 days will lead to concrete and actionable recommendations on the way forward. UNODC continues to stand ready to support the Philippines in this journey. Mabuhay at maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Marquesi. The justice sector's anti-terrorism efforts have been greatly complemented by the assistance extended by the UNODC. Our next valuable partner has supported the justice sector in our specialty justice zones. She has been instrumental in strengthening the partnership between Australia and the Philippines for our anti-trafficking initiatives. A round of applause, please, for Her Excellency, HKU PSM, the Ambassador of Australia to the Philippines.
Thank you for that warm introduction, and magandang umaga po to everyone. And could I just specifically acknowledge Executive Secretary, Chief Justice, of course, Speaker of the House, and all the distinguished guests here today. As the Australian ambassador to the Philippines, I have to say that it actually fills me with joy that the Australian government emblem is on screen to support this summit. Right now, I'm on screen, I know that, but before, the Australian government emblem was on screen. It is an amazing initiative that JSCC has achieved here to put together a 2-day summit to draw on international experience to come up with creative solutions to tackle the decongestion reintegration issue. Australian government is committed to this initiative for 3 reasons. First, as many of you will know, Australian government and the Philippine government have recently elevated our relationship to strategic partnership. In fact, our 2 good leaders signed the declaration in September this year. And as good strategic partners will do, Australian government is always committed to supporting the Philippines' priority issues. We want to work with you in areas that really matter to you. And I think the eminent leaders, very senior people in your system that are present today, just goes to show how important these overcrowded prison and jail issues are for the Philippines. This is why Australian government is here to support you. The second reason we are supporting this initiative is because Australia has been your long-standing partner in fight against terrorism in particular. In fact, while my Prime Minister was here, just to show the level of commitment we have towards this very important work, CT, he announced yet another program of $64.5 million over 5 years to help you keep the good gains that you have made in achieving peace and stability in Mindanao. But of course, we know the Sunday's incident shows that that is something that still requires a lot of attention. The corrections is another component. If we do not get this right, those terrorists who are stuck in jail could potentially come out just as extreme, and in fact, in worst case scenarios, even radicalize others. And in an overcrowded prison and jail, it is very difficult to achieve rehabilitation. This is another reason why Australian government is so committed to working with you to get your correction systems right. The third reason we are really focused on this issue is because we too in Australia went through prison reforms. Some of our prisons were in terrible conditions, And we had to work through reforming our system to ensure we achieved the best outcome. Yes, some of it was hard fought and hard learned. But given that we've gone through that, we want to share with you our experience. And in fact, in August this year, I had the privilege of actually going and seeing the new jail in Marawi City. And I have to say, I was extremely impressed by the facilities and the standard to which it wants to operate. So the Australian government will be rolling out training programs for the guards and the management of the prison, drawn from our own experience to share that with you. So as you can see, there are many reasons why Australian government is so committed to this, because we believe that as strategic partners, the Philippines and Australia can continue to work together to achieve a region that is peaceful, stable, and prosperous for all. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. The European Union has been a strategic and long-time partner of the justice sector at the JSCC. The EU has consistently supported the sectoral approach to justice reform and improved justice services. To give us his message, let us welcome His Excellency Luc Veron, the Ambassador and Head of the Delegation of the European Union to the Philippines.
His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., represented this morning by the Honorable Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, the Honorable Juan Miguel Zubiri, President of the Senate, Honorable Martin Romualdez, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Alexander Gesmundo, Chief Justice, Honorable Raul Vasquez, Undersecretary of Justice, Honorable Juan Victor Llamas, Undersecretary of Interior and Local Government, is Our Excellency, my good friend HKU, Ambassador of Australia, Associate Justices, senior officials, ladies and gentlemen, friends and partners, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Since this administration under President Marcos Jr. has taken office, decongestion of the jail system has become a priority in the Philippines. The situation was very bleak, as you know better than I do. This administration has acted not only in words, although words are important, and I'm fully aware of Chapter 13.2 of the Philippine National Development Plan, but this administration has not only acted in words, but also in deeds. And thousands of PDLs have been released, and serious steps to assist vulnerable members of the population have been taken. And such progress is only possible because both the Supreme Court and the executive see eye to eye, as we can experience today at this first ever summit on jail decongestion in this country. For the last 17 years, the European Union has been a partner of the justice system in the Philippines. We support, through our program Go Just, the work of the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, the creation of justice zones, digitalization and innovation in the justice and law enforcement systems, as well as access to justice and legal aid for vulnerable groups. In preparation for this event, EU Go Just has supported the evidence-based jail decongestion study, and the study presents data that allows for a deeper understanding of the myriad issues surrounding congestion in the jails. Education of PDLs is a path towards rehabilitation. I'm therefore proud that with our EU Go Just. We support the training of PDLs as legal researchers, which has enabled them to assist their fellow PDLs in processing their cases. We have also launched numerous grants with civil society actors to provide legal aid to PDLs, including through law schools. Finally, we have supported the digitalization of the single carpeta system, and by the end of May next year, the project will have completed 40,000 carpetas. Much more needs to be done, and this is only the beginning. What I find so encouraging is that the principles of justice and law enforcement sectors in this room are pushing for change. Together pushing for change. And we can see results, despite the complexities and capacity constraints. So let me end by assuring you that the European Union is your partner in carrying these reforms forward, now and for the years to come. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much po, Mr. Ambassador. And now we will proceed to the high-level messages. To deliver his welcome remarks, it is my honor to call on the JSCC Principal and Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines, the Honorable Alexander G. Gesmundo.
Please be seated. Executive Secretary Lucas P. Bersamin, my former Chief Justice, Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, Speaker of the House of Representatives Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, fellow principals in the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, represented by Undersecretary Raul Vasquez, and Interior and Local Government Secretary Benjamin Avalos Jr., represented by Undersecretary Juan Victor Llamas. Our international partners, including His Excellency Luc Beron, Ambassador of the European Union to the Philippines, Her Excellency HKU, Ambassador of Australia to the Philippines, Mr. Daniele Marchesi of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and the representatives from the Justice Sector Reform Program, Governance in Justice 2, Go Just 2. To my esteemed colleagues in the Supreme Court and our fellow public servants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today is a historic day. On this day, the entire Philippine government, represented by no less than the Chief Executive of the Republic and the heads of the legislative and judicial departments, commits to an undertaking that will require the whole of government to execute, and that is the decongestion of our penal facilities. The problem of jail congestion has been building up over the years. As our population increases, as more laws are passed, as the enforcement of our laws become more efficient, as prosecution results to more convictions, and as judgments are more quickly handed down, the increase in the number of prisoners is only expected. Without a corresponding expansion of our jail facilities, congestion would naturally result. 70% of detention facilities under the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology are overcrowded, at an average of congestion rate of 386%. Even worse, the occupancy rate in some of our jails has gone as high as 2,748% of their standard capacity. Just last October, in observance of the National Correction Consciousness Week, and also in line with this summit, I had the opportunity to visit the National Blvd Prison, Medium Security Camp, and the Pasay City Jail, as well as to get a better grasp of actual conditions in detention facilities. With excessively crowded jails, PDLs live under extremely challenging conditions that hinder their reformation, but hopefully not for much longer. However, the problem is not just about the proportion of jail population and the area they occupy. There are many other factors that have contributed to the congestion rate as we are now facing. Later this morning, we will share with you these factors based on the study we conducted under the Justice Sector Coordinating Council. The JSCC is our answer to the even more persistent issue of inefficient justice service delivery. The JSCC is a champion of the sector approach to public service delivery. Our decades of collective experiences have demonstrated that the traditional institution-based agency approach of operating in silos has led to the fragmented and inefficient response to the justice system needs. The JSCC principles, therefore, the Chief Justice, the Secretary of Justice, and the Secretary of Interior Local Government decided that a different approach was warranted to make our services more responsive and their delivery real-time. At the summit, we will go beyond mere talk and discussion. Right at the very start, we will already lay out the JSCC's plan of action for addressing congestion. All the enumerated activities, both short-term and long-term, will fall under our three modes of action. First is to reduce admission, second is to increase releases, and third is to expand jail facilities and capacities. We have invited both international and local experts to showcase best practices on jail decongestion that have proven to be most effective to inform our way forward. In all this, we emphasize success in decongesting our jails depends on close cooperation, coordination, and collaboration across all the 5 pillars of the criminal justice system, including law enforcement, prosecution, the courts, corrections, and the community. And for that, we hope this summit provides a strong and sustained reform. This commitment is also in line with the Supreme Court's ongoing pursuit of judicial reform under our Strategic Plan for Judicial Innovations 2022 to 2027, or the SPJI. In particular, we're looking to introduce more efficient and technologically innovative ways of case processing towards the SPJI's objective of promoting innovation by using the most appropriate, secure, and advanced technologies to enhance the efficiency of court services, reduce delays in the processing and disposition of cases, and increase collaboration across the entire justice system. The efficiency and efficacy of any criminal justice system is measured not by how many are prosecuted and incarcerated, but rather by how many are reformed and rehabilitated. The law may be harsh, but it must at all times remain humane. The law must punish, but punishment can only be humane if it is reformative. The conditions in our jails and detention facilities as they stand today are conducive to neither. Today, we make a significant step together towards correcting this, towards ensuring better jail management, the humane safekeeping of PDLs, and the speedy delivery of responsive justice, especially for those whose lives and liberty depend upon it. Before I end, I would like to thank our steering committee for their hard work in making this summit possible. Our thanks also to our development partners, particularly the Governance in Justice Program 2 of the European Union, the Australian government working through the UN Office on Drugs and Crime, as well as to the justice sector stakeholders, advocacy groups, and civil society organizations that have extended their invaluable support to the JSCC's jail congestion program. Most of all, the JSCC expresses its gratitude to His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for his invaluable. Mr. President, we wish you were here. Where you were here is an affirmation that we're on the right track and the national government has our back. To our participants present here today, whether in person or through online, I hope you make the most of the sessions we have planned for this summit, as I am confident that it will open up pathways to creative, innovative, and collaborative solutions that will once and for all solve the chronic problem of congestions in our jails and detention facilities, and strengthen the reformative and reintegrative aspect of our criminal justice system. Thank you, good morning, and let us get to work together. Mabuhay tayong lahat.
Maraming salamat po at mabuhay, Mr. Chief Justice. Together with the Chief Justice as head of the judiciary, being the third branch of government, the leaders of both houses of Congress have joined us this morning. The review and enhancement of existing laws, as well as the passage of new legislation together with much-needed appropriation are indispensable in our joint efforts towards jail and prison decongestion and successful reintegration of former prisoners deprived of liberty back into our society. To deliver his message, please welcome the Honorable Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Good morning. Please take your seats. Indeed, it is a great occasion and a great honor to be invited here today by our very good friend, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Republic of the Philippines, my very good friend, Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo. This invitation means a lot to me because indeed we have been working in Congress with our friends also in the Senate on ways how to address this very important issue that we have today. Her Excellency, Australian Ambassador HKEU, thank you so much for being a very, very important partner and a stakeholder for today's occasion. My other good friend, His Excellency, European Union Ambassador Luc Veron. My seatmate this morning, representing the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency, our Executive Secretary, former Chief Justice Secretary, Lucas Bersamin. My friend, I think, has yet to come from the Senate. Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen from the judiciary and from all sectors of this most important occasion. I am deeply honored to stand before you today at the significant event, the National Jail Decongestion Summit. Our gathering here today is a testament to our collective resolve to confront and to resolve one of the most critical challenges in our justice system, that is, the pressing issue of jail congestion. In the Philippines, the congestion of our jails is not merely a logistical or infrastructural problem. It is a profound human rights issue. The overcrowded conditions in our detention facilities reflect upon our own state of judicial processes and the very essence of the justice and the humanity in our society. The collaboration under the auspices of the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, which includes the Supreme Court, the Department of Justice, the Department of Interior and Local Government, is commendable. This partnership symbolizes a unified approach in dealing with the complex challenges while respecting the autonomy of each organization. As we move forward, it is crucial to recognize the dire situation of persons deprived of liberty. Many languish in overcrowded jails, not due to the severity of their crimes, but because of the prolonged processes and inadequate infrastructure. This reality calls for our immediate and decisive action. To address these challenges, the House of Representatives is ready to consider and will seriously study several key proposals that merit serious contemplation and support. And we would need our friends in the Senate for this endeavor. Number one, review of crime classification. First, we are amenable to a comprehensive review of the classification of crimes as capital and non-bailable. The revised Penal Code's classification system, almost a century old, needs an overhaul. This review will assess the deterrent effect of these classifications and consider the decriminalization of certain offenses like libel, abortion, and dueling. Our goal is to ensure that every punishments are proportionate to the gravity of the crimes thus committed. Number 2, diversion of adult offenders. Building on the success in diverting children in conflict with the law, we also would like to advocate for the enactment of a law that extends similar diversionary measures to adult offenders. This would involve alternatives to incarceration for minor offenses and first-time offenders, reducing unnecessary admissions into our penal facilities. Number 3, Unified Penology Act and the Department of Corrections and Penology. We recognize the need for a more unified and efficient management of our prisons facilities. Therefore, we will review and examine your proposal for the creation of a unified penology system under a dedicated department. This new structure, we all hope, can lead to the streamlining of operations and brings our standards in line with our international obligations. Number 4, law on integration or reintegration and psychosocial rehabilitation. The cycle of reoffending, particularly in drug-related and property crimes, highlights the absence of effective reintegration programs. There may be a need for a new law focusing on reintegration, including psychosocial rehabilitation, which seeks to provide essential support for released offenders, aiding in their return to society and reducing recidivism. Number 5, the amendment of the Decongestion Act of 2012. We are also considering amendments to the Decongestion Act to make it more accessible and thus effective. These amendments will focus on simplifying the process for beneficiaries and expanding the pool of potential custodians. Number 6, strengthening the Commission on Human Rights. Lastly, we are also in agreement with the proposal of strengthening the Commission on Human Rights to act as the national preventive mechanism against unjust incarceration. This will involve equipping the committee or the Commission with data and analysis tools to monitor and address trends in incarceration and releases. Ladies and gentlemen, the path ahead is challenging, but our resolve is firm. These proposals represent a holistic approach to a complex problem. They reflect our commitment to a justice system that is not only efficient and equitable, but also humane and respectful of the rights and dignity of every Filipino. As we deliberate over these proposals, let us remember that at the heart of our discussions are real people, individuals whose lives and futures depend on the decisions that we make and the actions that we take. Our duty is not just to the law, but to humanity. In closing, I extend my deepest gratitude to everyone present here. Your expertise, dedication, and commitment are the driving forces behind this very critical initiative. Together, let us forge a path towards a justice system that upholds the dignity of every individual and delivers justice with both efficiency and compassion. Maraming salamat po sa iyo. Thank you so much, Mr. Chief Justice. And of course, maligayang Pasko. Merry Christmas to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, the Upper House of Congress chose to lend visible support to the JSCC today. Together with the House of Representatives, the justice sector aims to work in pursuit of our sectoral legislative agenda, most especially for jail and prison reform. To deliver his message, please welcome the Honorable Senate President Mr. Juan Miguel Zubiri.
Thank you very much. Please take your seats, everyone. Sorry, I just came in just in time. We had a breakfast meeting this morning. Hello, Justice. First of all, pleasant good morning to our dear Executive Secretary. I hope the President's doing well. I'm very strong. I know wala na yung COVID. Sabi nga nila, if you don't test, you have no COVID. But siguro nag-test si Presidente kaya may COVID siya. But please give him our best wishes to the President. Of course, to my dear friend and brother, Speaker Martin Romualdez, sir, we have a lot of local bills to tackle today. Don't worry, we're passing your local bills. To our Chief Justice, Justice Hesmundo, Chief Justice Alexander Hesmundo, sir, thank you for inviting me here today. And of course, we had is Justice Secretary still with us, Justice Secretary Remulla, who's represented, by the way, by their Undersecretary Raul Vasquez, to the DILG Secretary, Secretary Benjamin Abalos, represented by Undersecretary Juan Victor Llamas, to His Excellency Luke Veron, Ambassador to the EU, the Philippines, to Her Excellency HKU, Ambassador Yu, who's a dear friend of mine as well, the Head of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, Danielle Marchesi, to all the Supreme Court Justices that are here today. There's so many of you, ma'am, sir, good morning po, good morning. To all the Justices of the other branches of government, I was picked earlier, met Justice Musni of Sandigan Bayan. And to all the stakeholders, magandang umaga po. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a great day, and it's a beautiful day outside. And it's first of all, I'm very happy to be invited to today's event. To all of you, I think this this move of the Supreme Court Chief Justice and the Supreme Court to decongest our jail system, I think, is one that, of course, needs our congratulations. It's something that we need to be doing from the very beginning. We should, and I think at the start of this administration, we still have 4.5 years left. With the support of the Speaker and myself and all the other agencies of government, I think we can move forward and really do something that previous administrations have failed to do. That's why it's an honor for me to be part of this National Jail Decongestion Summit and to address one of the most pressing concerns in our ongoing work of creating a just world for every Filipino. This summit is an important step in recognizing a basic but often overlooked truth that fundamental human rights apply to every Filipino, including our PDLs, no matter the crime, no matter the sentence. It is dangerously easy to dehumanize our PDLs and reduce them to second-class citizens. Of course, having done wrong and caused harm, they deserve commensurate punishment. But for all their offenses, they are still human beings. Still someone's parent, partner, sibling, and child. They still deserve an opportunity for growth and for change. And so, the right to humane living conditions must not be dismissed once a person is sent to our correctional facilities. If anything, our facilities must be well equipped to set our PDLs on a dignified road towards rehabilitation and to help prepare them for successful reintegration into society. This truth that PDLs are human beings who have human rights is where the project of jail decongestion must start. We must recognize that overcrowded jails do not just pose a threat or small inconvenience, rather, on our PDLs, but rather overcrowding puts their lives and futures at risk. Overcrowding in our jails leaves our PDLs vulnerable to a whole host of threats, from prison violence to the uncontrolled spread of disease, as we saw during the course of the COVID pandemic the last 2 years, or 2 years ago. In these challenging conditions, PDLs have little room to focus on truly addressing their offenses and working on becoming better individuals. But overcrowding does not just affect our PDLs. It also leaves our correctional officers and wardens massively overworked and overburdened and unable to attend to the rehabilitative needs of each PDL under their care and supervision. And of course, overcrowding affects us all in the end. Instead of having an effective correctional system that can rehabilitate our PDLs and help them rejoin society as productive individuals, we have seen this time and time again. Alam po ng most of our officials here know, we instead cultivate an atmosphere of recidivism, with repeat offenders falling into correctional systems, or the correctional system all over again. We must break this cycle, and it is towards this end that we in the Senate have been fully supportive of efforts to improve our correctional facilities and our criminal justice system at large. Chief among our legislative efforts has been the passage of Republic Act 11928, authored and co-sponsored by yours truly and our then Committee on Justice Chair, Senator Dick Gordon. This is the Separate Facilities for Heinous Crimes Act, which establishes at least 3 supermax prisons for high-level offenders, 1 facility for Luzon, another for the Visayas, and 3rd in Mindanao. With these supermax facilities, we hope to have a more organized and efficient correctional system, where high-level offenders are rightfully kept under tighter watch, while low-level offenders are given more space to undergo genuinely rehabilitative sentence under medium or minimum security. And we've seen this many times during hearings, during our discussions in the Senate, and with our members, fellow brothers in Congress and sisters in Congress. We really, in order to decongest, we really have to build these supermax facilities to be able to open up munting lupa for, I guess, we can make that as a money earner for government. I was mentioning this one time to the ES and to the President. Mr. President, if you want to either shave off the deficit or if you want to earn for government, that almost how many 1,000-hectare facility in Muntinlupa is ripe to be developed as a new super city, which the government can use as income for other programs for our people. And then build the supermax facilities, and maybe the low-level criminals can go to our penal systems in Davao, in Palawan, where they can actually be, they can become farmers, they become entrepreneurs in their own right in these facilities. It's no longer conducive, it's no longer, how do you say, a facility where just being in a room there with maybe 100 people is torture in itself. So that's why we came up with the supermax facilities. And at the same time, it would also address the perennial problem of low-level criminals mixing with high-level criminals, and then they're recruited to their syndicates, and then the vicious cycle goes back once again. So we hope that our supermax facilities will reduce the opportunities for organized crime, as I mentioned earlier, within our prison system, where high-level offenders use their power to influence, if not outright coerce, low-level offenders to commit their dirty work for them, such as smuggling drugs and other illegal paraphernalia. By busting organized crime in our prisons, we can then also reduce instances of violence between PDLs. Republic Act 11928 lapsed into law just last year, and I know since then the Department of Justice has already identified sites for our maximum security facilities. Once the lots and the plans are final, we assure you that we in the Senate are ready to make necessary budgetary allocations to build and run these facilities. And I know the Speaker is here, so we can work together, Speaker, on this. That would be a nice legacy for the Marcos administration. On top of that, we of course remain committed to helping the DOJ improve our existing facilities and our rehabilitative programs for our PDLs, including the plan to relocate the Blvd complex and establish more penal facilities across the country to ensure that our PDLs are incarcerated in their home regions, making them more accessible for visits from their families. I think that's one step also that are being considered now, and I spoke to General Katapang. I'm sure General Katapang is here in the room, and he was saying that they are now moving, I see him in the back there, They are now moving many of the PDLs that are from the Visayas and from Mindanao into our facilities, penal facilities there, so that the families can humanely visit them on of course, several occasions, rather than having to fly into Manila to visit their loved ones in these facilities. We also remain committed to supporting our courts as we work towards establishing a more efficient criminal justice system that honors the needs of our victims while offering offenders a road towards restorative justice. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, together with our coordinated efforts, these efforts should go a long way towards decongesting our jails and building a just, peaceful, and productive future for all our people within and beyond the confines of our jails. So sa inyong lahat, to our Supreme Court Chief Justice who initiated this, mabuhay po kayo, mabuhay po Supreme Court, and mabuhay po ang ating bansa. Maraming salamat po. Thank you very much.
Thank you po, Mr. Senate President. To introduce the next speaker, may I call on Supreme Court Associate Justice Maria Filomena D. Singh.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the Honorable Executive Secretary, the 25th Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the Honorable Lucas P. Bersamin.
Thank you. I take it that you rose because you expected the President to be around. Thank you for that. I will relay it to him. Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri, Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, Chief Justice of the Philippines, Alexander Gesmundo. You do not belong only to the Supreme Court. DILG Secretary Benjamin Abalos Jr., who is represented here, Department of Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla, who is also represented today, Your Excellency Luc Veron, Your Excellency HKU, Mr. Daniel Marchesi of the UNODC, the Chairperson of the Special Committee, Justice Maria Filomena Monet Singh, my colleagues in the former colleagues in the Supreme Court, no? You are all here, except for more. You are less. Yes, all the members of all of the principals, no? Are here. The principals are the three, and then you are also all present here to join this massive effort of decongestion and reintegration. A pleasant morning to everyone. We gather here today for a momentous occasion, the National Jail Decongestion Summit, organized by the Justice Sector Coordinating Council. This is not yet the President speaking. Regrettably, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is unable to be with us today. In his absence, it is my honor as the Executive Secretary to deliver the President's address before this august body, outlining our shared commitment to addressing the challenges within our justice system. May I now read the speech. A good day to all. I welcome everyone as you convene for this National Jail Decongestion Summit organized by the Justice Sector Coordinating Council, or JSCC. I would like to recognize the members of the JSCC for their efforts in spearheading this important gathering. This event is in line with our administration's priority to decongest our jails and prison facilities and to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of our justice system. This gathering is most welcome as it demonstrates the commitment of the entire government to expedite the processing of criminal cases and to alleviate the chronic problem of jail congestion. Indeed, it would require a whole-of-government approach to ensure the efficient, effective, and compassionate administration of justice in the country. I am therefore confident that the discussions in this summit will pave the way for better policies and initiatives that will address the root causes of our problems. I urge the JSCC to pursue the streamlining and digitalization of your frontline and back-end services. By embracing technology and innovative practices, we can enhance our efficiency, reduce delays, and ensure swift and fair legal proceedings. As we delve deeper into the various plenary sessions and workshops, I also urge the participants to actively share your insights, experiences, and best practices. Let us learn from the successes and best practices of other countries, where innovative solutions have been implemented to address challenges in the justice system. In our pursuit of a bagong Pilipinas, where communities and government institutions have respect for the law and human rights, it is vital that we work together to come up with measures to decongest our jails and improve the conditions of persons deprived of liberty. Rest assured, this administration remains steadfast in its commitment to support collaborative efforts between the executive and the judiciary. Through our collaborative efforts and protected. Together, let us build a society where justice is swift, fairness is paramount, and compassion prevails. I wish you a successful gathering. Those are the words of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. I call on everyone to unite and work together, not only to realize the goals of this summit, but also to pursue the bagong Pilipinas we envision for our people. As the Executive Secretary, and being also a former Chief Justice, I likewise assure you of my support in your endeavors. I look forward to the positive changes that we will create together today and tomorrow. Thank you, and may you have a meaningful and impactful discussion ahead.
Maraming salamat po and mabuhay kayo, Executive Secretary Bersamin, who used to be the JSCC principal and who launched 4 justice zones in 2019. At this point, we will have a group photo opportunity. Reverse po, the photographers will be on stage and you will be there. Thank you for standing up. Do not sit down. The Executive Secretary, together with Senate President Zubiri, House Speaker Romualdez, Chief Justice Gesmundo, Ambassador Veron, Ambassador Yu will lead the group photo opportunity. They will be ushered here in front. And all the guests, please remain standing. Our official photographers are now on stage and I will join you. Thank you.
Atrás.